Answering xTool Omni O1 UV Printer questions, part 2. I never planned on making this video, but the first one that I released, I think 2 or 3 days ago, has had over 130 comments asking questions. So I thought it made sense to do a part 2 and answer some of those questions to help you guys make some more informed decisions or even set up your workspace ready to go. What I will quickly say before I get started is if these videos are helpful to you, if you want to see some tutorial, projects, material settings content down the line, then hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss them when they come out. So anyway, let's get on. Let me answer question number 1. Did the UV printer come in a shipping crate or did it come in a normal packaging box? What I will start off by saying is the packaging I received was for the beta unit. It may change with the release version. However, it was a packaging box and the dimensions were 33 inches by 19 inches by 22 inches, or in centimeters, that is 83 centimeters by 49 centimeters by 56 centimeters. And in terms of handling it, it fit through a standard door in the UK. I don't know what it is worldwide, but I didn't have any issues moving it around and it was well packed as you would expect. Question 2, and that question is to do with the ink and in particular the lifespan of the ink. UV ink by default has a shelved lifespan and I think it's around 12 months. Can add additives and other things to expand it, and sometimes the whites can have less of a date on them. However, from my experience with the inks I have received on the beta unit, I have had it ranging from probably 11 months to 12 months. I received some inks recently and they had literally just shy of a year left on them, which was incredible. Obviously, it all depends on xTool's logistics setup, how quickly they get it to people, how much they have in stock and where they get it out. From my experience dealing with xTool, they are really on the ball with shipping and they usually get things out very quickly, especially the consumable items like this. So I would expect very good dates when they received, which I know for other brands hasn't always been the case, but only time will tell that. That's just my experience so far. Question number 3. This one is one I don't actually have an answer to, but I wanted to make you aware of it so that you know it is something that will be mentioned going forward. And it's to do with power consumption usage and also noise levels. So 2 key things that people might be interested in, especially if you're in a small space, an office or anywhere else. And I don't have the equipment to measure that at the moment, but I have ordered them, especially from Amazon. So they should be here soon. As soon as I get that apparatus to check those levels, I will take some tests and I'll give you the results in a future video. So let's move on to question 4. This question is relating the inks again, and someone has asked, are they all combined into one area or is it individual cartridges? It's an individual cartridge system where if you need to replace one, you just have to replace one at a time. They are preloaded, spring-loaded in the back of the machine. I can't show you it just yet, but I will be showing you it soon. And yes, you can replace them as and when they run out, so you don't need to technically replace all of them at once, which is good if you're using more than others. The next question is one that's been banding around a lot, and it is to do with printhead replacement. So xTool have stated the printheads are consumables and they have a limited lifespan. What I will say is you cannot give it a black and white lifespan of a printhead because it all depends on how much it's used, the conditions it's used in, what kind of inks are going through it, you know, how hard it's being pushed on a daily basis. But these printheads, I know they are commonly used across a range of other printers, and I've seen numbers from 6 months to 12 months, like I said, depending on usage. That being said, I don't have definitive answers on what it's going to cost buying it from xTool, because although you can buy that ink head elsewhere, it may be that xTool do some extra stuff to it after they get it from the suppliers and add some proprietary stuff into it. So it might be that you have to buy directly from them. I'm going to ask the question, I'm going to try and get some answers, but what I will say is I believe the prices of all that kind of stuff will be announced soon by xTool. So just stay tuned if you want information before I'm able to give it to you. One of the questions is about clearances on the top of the machine. So I mentioned obviously all of these dimensions in the last video, but I didn't mention how much clearance you need above. So let's check it. What we'll say is in theory, you don't need any clearance because once this is closed, there's nothing that comes up. However, you'll see here, this lifts up to give you access inside of it. And also your ink cartridges are here, but that also pops off. So in theory, you need no clearance, but if you wanted to make sure you could open this up Let's measure it. That distance right there above it, I'll do it from the top of the machine to that there. You are talking about 11 inches or 28 centimeters. In terms of this access panel here, 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. Now the next question is about extraction. I showed you how it extracts in the previous video. I showed you that it uses the pipe that comes with the F1 or the F2. However, people are asking, can it be used with the AP2 purifier? Does it come with adapters that allow you to take it from that diameter size of the F1, F2 hose up to the AP2 purifier? I think it's like from 3 inches to 4 inches. That might be wrong though, but that's what I think. It didn't come with an adapter for me. That may be something they provide. That being said, you'll be able to 3D print versions out there and people will be selling their own versions. I'll probably even have my own versions up for sale if you want to buy those. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, it can be used with the AP2, can also probably be used with the air purifier that is used on the F1 and the F2, and it could just be extracted out of a window as well. There's options out there for all of those things. Does the software tell you how much ink you're using, and does it tell you what it costs to do that print? So in xTool Studio, we all know the process button that takes you to that window before you start a job. In that section, in the top right, and I will show you this in one of my upcoming videos, it gives you a good idea of print consumption, tells you how much ink in each ink cartridge you're going to use. It also, underneath that, tells you what the expected estimated cost of that print is. So as it stands, it doesn't tell you that cost, but that's because I believe current software version and with the beta units, they didn't have their prices set out at that point. However, by the time everyone gets this machine, when you order it, I am almost certain it will tell you exactly what the cost of your prints are going to be when you make them, which is good for you calculating what you need to charge for things or just how much ink you're going to be using over a duration of time. Next question is regarding the attachments or the accessories. Have I been given any prices yet? No, I haven't. So I know they exist. Obviously, xTool have started to advertise them, but the prices are something that are still yet to be announced. So we're not sure what they are yet. But I think in the next 1 or 2 weeks, those prices will probably be available. A lot of people are asking about the speed difference between the dual head and the single UV head. And the honest answer for me on that one is I don't know at the moment how much faster this is than the other versions. All I can say is that in xTool's documentation on their website, it states that the dual UV version, this one right here, is faster than the single. However, until we actually get the single one out there printing, and we can do side-by-side comparisons, it will be truly hard to tell the difference in speed. So unfortunately, I can't give you an answer for that one just yet. Talking about connectivity now, and someone's asked, if I've got it connected via the Wi-Fi, which you can do, can I use the UV printer from a different room? Yes, you definitely can. What I will say is, obviously, you kind of need to be there to place your items and to assess them and see how they're doing. But assuming you've got a long print that you're good to go, you can go off into another room and you can still set up future jobs on that laptop while still controlling that as well. A lot of people are asking questions about the ink in the sense of, if I don't want to use flexible white or if I don't want to use fluorescent red, can I put a different ink cartridge in there? I don't know the definitive answer, but what I would say is I don't think that's going to be possible myself. I think that each cartridge area will only take the assigned cartridge that it's programmed to accept. So I don't think that's going to be possible. Next question is regarding usage on certain materials. What have I tested it on? So let me tell you exactly what I've used this on so far so that you know it can be used and how it can be used. So I have gone directly onto glass without any pre-treatment and it worked absolutely beautifully. I've also gone onto 3D printed materials, PLA, PETG, and I used the flexible white ink for that and I managed to flex it and there was no issues and it was absolutely fine. The single UV version will also be able to print onto things like this as well, so don't think that's exclusive to those flexible inks. It's just if it is going to have some flex, then you need potentially those inks. Phone cases is another one I have printed onto, and I've printed onto the rigid hard plastic ones, and you could do that with the single UV version. I've also gone for the more flexible kind of impact ones with the dual UV, and that worked great as well. Canvas materials, art canvases, I have done some beautiful art canvas works and it prints really nicely onto those. I've also gone directly onto wood, and what I will say with woods is not all woods are equal. Some woods, it put the white on and the color on and it was perfect. Other ones are a bit more permeable and they absorb those inks because they've got bigger gaps between those cells so that you have to put more white down. So that is something to bear in mind, but it is definitely possible. I've also printed onto brass challenge coins and silver ones. With the silver one, I had to apply some kind of pre-coat surface on the top of it so it adhered to it. With the brass ones, I didn't have to, but what I will say is it did a beautiful job and those were absolutely outstanding. Things like slate coasters, stone, rocks, I've also done it on all of those things and the results were great on that as well. No pre-treatment needed for that. What I will say though is I know xTool are going to be bringing out their own wipes, the little square wipes that you can just tear and wipe, and there'll be acrylic, there'll be metal, and other material pre-surface treatments that you can apply to them to kind of guarantee the results on that as well. The final question, there are probably going to be lots more after this video, and if there are lots more questions and you want to ask more, by the way, ask them down below. I'll make a part 3 if I have to. But the final question is regarding the doors. Do they have to be attached at all time? I showed you in the last video that they extend quite a way out and you do need pretty much that clearance from the machine. That being said, if you're using the smaller plate right here like this, you can actually have those closed and it doesn't need to go any further, so you can have a much smaller footprint. Doors can be removed and you can print with them removed. There isn't a sensor in that that stops you using it if the door is removed. You just pull it out like so and you're good to go. So there you go, there is part 2 complete. What I will say at this point is if it's been helpful, if you want more future content, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're still thinking of pulling the trigger and actually getting one of these beauties yourself, then there is an affiliate link in the description that helps support the channel and it is greatly appreciated if you do it. Have a great day guys, and I just might see you for a part 3.